Okay, so we're ready to begin. It is 6 p.m. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission. I call this meeting to order. If we could please read the notice of temporary procedures for the Planning Commission meetings. Part of it. Mostly about how to raise your hand and star.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Whatever.
If you are participating by Zoom, please hit the raise your hand icon if you wish to make a public comment. If you are attending in person, please fill out a speaker card to make a public comment.
And if via...
For tonight's meeting, we will dispense with speaker cards and ask for people from the audience who wish to speak during public comment to be recognized by the chair.
Very good. Okay, that part is dispensed with. If we can move along to the next item, which would be Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Rodriguez, could you lead the pledge, please?
Yes. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible,
If we could please get a roll call of the commissioners.
Commissioner Devin Pack, District 5, present.
Commissioner Richard Wade, District 2, present.
Commissioner Robert Rodriguez, District 1, present.
Commissioner Robert Gibson, District 4, present. Commissioner Scagliotti is absent for the record. Department announcements.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
Robin, apparently we have you both on Zoom and the phone. That's why we're getting this echo feedback.
I don't have my phone on.
Okay, well now that's better. We're good.
Okay. Ironically, I was going to clarify the indoor mask rule that just went into effect statewide. That was not the case when the packets were printed. So until further notice, vaccinated or unvaccinated, all folks indoors will be required to wear a mask. We are observing COVID protocols by holding this remotely this evening. I wanted also to announce the appointment of Mike Chambliss as the permanent director of the RMA. That was made public yesterday, and we are delighted to have Mike on as our permanent RMA director. And then I'm not sure if Ariel is on yet. She was going to make a presentation about our upcoming zoning changes. As you know, we have been in the process of revising significant portions of our zoning code. We will be holding public meetings to get some input, and we're thinking that we will likely need to schedule a special meeting of the commissioners sometime in January. If Ariel is able to join us, I will ask her to elaborate on that. But for now, just know that's coming. The first of the year, we want to start rolling out the zoning changes, collecting public input, and certainly getting input from your commission. That is all I have. Thank you so much.
Is a special notice of the meeting in review with staff, and we'll get that to you as soon as it's ready to go.
Okay.
I
Thank
believe
you.
the tentative date is January 12th.
That's correct. Thanks, Joel.
Okay, thank you. Public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to speak on matters that are in the purview of the Planning Commission but are not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes. Are there Any speakers that have general public comment? We'll start with Zoom first, and then we'll go to the chambers. Is there anyone via Zoom that has general public comment?
If you're on Zoom and would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand and I will allow you to speak. Can you see anyone?
Okay. No public comment via Zoom in the chambers. Sir, if you could come to the microphone and tell us your name and proceed.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. Good. My name is Alex Siwak, and I believe I sent you folks some material. My only purpose today is to bring this item up, and hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have an answer from the planning department or RMA. So our issue is that 27 months ago, we applied for a lot line adjustment. We still don't have an answer. We don't have an approval. We don't have a denial. We haven't had an opportunity to approach you folks to discuss a potential denial, as well as approach the supervisors if that continued to be the case. The county ordinance is really clear cut on this issue. The planning department has 15 working days to deny or approve or conditionally approve a lot line adjustment. For 27 months, that hasn't happened. There's various items in the packet that I sent you. It's going to the attorney phase now. It's an expensive process. I think the least that could have happened is after somebody collects $4,800 is to at least get a question sent out as to, hey, you know, there's a problem because of this or because of that, and here's what we can do about it, and so on. But not just simply do nothing for 27 months. So I'm hoping that something can happen by the next meeting, and then if we don't, then we'll assume that that's a denial, and we'll just go up the staircase. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I'd just say for the record that I'm in communication with Dr. Siwak's attorney and another party with whom they're in litigation and related matter, and we have discussion of a potential solution that would allow the staff to approve the lot line adjustment. But I'm waiting to hear back from them about that.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other public comment in the gallery? Any via Zoom? Last opportunity for general public comment.
If you'd like to make a comment on Zoom, please raise your hand and I will allow you to speak.
If you're
Public-
participating by phone, you can press *9.
Seeing none, public comment is closed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Thank you. We have acknowledgement of public hearing, acknowledgement of certificate of public posting, and the draft meeting minutes from November 17th. Are there any additions or changes to the minutes from November 17th?
Yes, I have a correction to the minutes that need to be made. The minutes reflect an erroneous determination on my part that the 2-1 vote of the planning commissioners was not effective, that it required a vote of 3 commissioners. And so that portion of the minutes should be corrected to reflect that the hearing was conducted, the motion was made, seconded, and carried by a 2-1 vote. And we have prepared a resolution for signature by the vice chair later this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Item 5 is part of that. Do we pull item 5 from the consent agenda, or how do we proceed with the consent agenda as a whole, or?
Well, it doesn't actually require a motion to carry it. It's simply, we've provided a copy of the resolution reflecting the decision previously made. If there are any comments on the form of that resolution, otherwise, then Commissioner Rodriguez should sign it.
Okay. So are there any questions from the commissioners regarding that resolution?
Yes, oh, sorry.
So I'll recuse myself for this portion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So although I did not support the idea when it was discussed, I think I am inclined to support this only because it reflects what actually happened during the meeting, which we didn't understand at the time, or at least I didn't understand at the time. I guess what I'm arguing for is leaving it in the consent agenda? Is that basically what
I'm sorry?
Oh, well, what I'm saying is I'm fine with voting in favor of even including item 5 in the consent agenda, given the fact that we did hold a legal vote and the motion did pass at the time.
Correct. So this is still going to be in the consent agenda, correct?
That's right. This is really just doing the
Paperwork.
the following on paperwork
yep.
for the decision that's already been made.
Yeah,
Okay,
so the
then-
decision's
then
already
I-
been made, so it's just cleaning up the paperwork.
I don't need to
if I'm-
pull it then.
Okay.
Uh,
And then I move to adopt.
So we would need, so for the consent, so this is under the consent agenda. If we're not pulling the item, then it's
Yeah,
all-
with
as a consent
subject
agenda-
to the suggested modifications to the minutes that have been made, then a motion would be appropriate to approve the
Would that
consent
con-
agenda.
Would that, does Chair Gibson vote on this?
No,
No, so this would be voting for, okay, so this will be with the modifications on the minutes.
correct.
Correct, okay.
So I move to adopt with the modification for the minutes as stated previously.
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. And for your information, the applicant and any interested parties will be informed that the ability to appeal that determination will run 10 days from today's date.
Can I interrupt to ask who seconded? Apparently not.
Commissioner Way seconded.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm taking down minutes from a distance. Thank you.
Okay. We move on to public hearing, item number 6. PLN 200045, Villa Stony Farms Cannabis Cultivation Use Permit.
Yes, sir.
Staff will go, I believe. Staff will present, and then we'll...
Are you appearing as an applicant or opponent? All right, thank you. You'll have the opportunity to speak after the staff presentation.
Go ahead, Mike.
Good evening, Michael Kelly, Associate Planner. Just want to be sure that you can hear me. Is that correct? Okay, good. Let me take a moment to share my screen here. This will just take a moment here. And can you see that okay, or is it shrunken?
It's a little small on my screen.
Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. Let me see what I can do. But of course, I am here to talk about Stony Farms at 1180 Riverside Road, the use permit for this cannabis business, cultivation of cannabis. Let me see if I can try this another way. I don't want to take up too much time doing this, but it might or might not help. Well, you know what, I might just have to do it that way, and it'll just be small, but I'll speak clearly about what I'm showing you. So as I said, Stony Farms, it would be cultivating cannabis at 1180 Riverside Road, which is, which is right along the San Benito River, across the river from city of Hollister limits. And here is the a property. It's along the San Benito River here. Here is Riverside Road, and on this property would be cannabis cultivation in well, the cultivation would be in one building that would house cultivation. A separate building would be there for offices, and 6 to 10 employees would be working at this property. Also, in addition to that, would be a residence about 4,000 square feet, and included also grading for a drive and for a retention pond to collect runoff for stormwater. This is, again, maybe hard to see, but here is the site along 1180 Riverside Road, with the residence on the upper terrace, because this property has two terraces, one level above where there is a residence, and then downhill a little bit would be the two commercial buildings. The commercial buildings, the larger one for the cultivation itself, most of the building would be having the cultivation there, and then the office building off to the side, some area for vehicle circulation and parking around it, and the retention pond. You have a view here of the building, perspective view from above of the building, and it would look much like a greenhouse, like you might see elsewhere in the county, possibly. That's what kind of use this would be. This is basically a greenhouse. The building itself, most of it would be cultivation, 3,200 square feet, with other area for processing to have this product made ready to go on to the next stage of production somewhere else to be transported off site, and other functional area in the building. There is here a cutaway view of the building where you see the plants in rows on these surfaces here under artificial lighting during nighttime and daylight. In daytime, the light would come through the roof, but be covered up at night so the artificial light does not escape. There would also be evaporative cooling. There would be an exhaust system that uses, as I understand it, a mist system to collect and contain any odor creating particles, so that they don't all go out through the exhaust system and spread odor through the area. Also, the residence, as I said, just under 4,000 square feet at the upper terrace along Riverside Road, with the driveway straight to Riverside Road, not shared with the commercial driveway. If you go to the site, you would see something like this view. You would see that the two terraces, the upper terrace where the residence would be, lower where the commercial buildings would be. A drive would be roughly where the viewer would be standing here and extending out to this location for commercial buildings. If you turn to the left, you'll look back and you'll see Riverside Road, and you'll see what's along there. You see the rural residence over here. You'll see grazing land and the agricultural trees over here. Stepping out to the road, this is some of the context of the neighborhood with your back to the commercial site. There's Riverside Road, where all the traffic would go. Here's Richardson Road, which would not be used for any of the traffic because it's a private road. And then down below, another view to the left, Richardson Road, and to the right, you look back at the project site. And if you go to the project site and look a bit farther out for some further context, you'll see this prominent landform off to the north that separates this site from Brigantino Park. So there would be, because of this landform, there would be no interaction between the commercial site here and the activities there and Brigantino Park on the opposite side of this bit of terrain. And then looking out to the northeast, you see toward Hollister. First, you see the San Benito River, then you see the industrial ponds with the walking trail alongside it. Beyond that, Apricot Park and Summer Drive and the residences, the residential neighborhood out that way. That's a quarter mile eastward or northeastward from this site. Now, this business is extensively regulated by state law. In particular, the Medicinal and Adult Use Cannabis Regulation and Safety Act, which is subsequent to the ballot initiative from 2016 that legalized recreational cannabis, adult cannabis use at the state of California level. And after that, this law went into effect and established detailed laws to regulate this very kind of business. Also, the California Code of Regulations had added to it regulations that go into great detail about how these businesses are to operate, and they address a lot of what could be environmental concerns and what could be security concerns. Operators have to present a great deal of information and qualification to the state of California to be able to operate. In addition, we have our local code on cannabis business land uses that regulates from a local perspective in a similar way. Now, we have to take a look at the general plan to see how this project relates to the general plan and the policies in it. The general plan its policies were enacted well before we established cannabis regulations in the county. But when the cannabis regulations locally were adopted, attention was paid to how they fit into the general plan. And findings were made at that time to find that, yes, these regulations and allowing this use would fit into the general plan. And right now we're doing something similar for this project. So when we look at the general plan, we see that this is in the agricultural land use district, which allows growing of crops, which this is. And it points to, the general plan points to, as a policy, encouraging diversified agriculture to include value-added small-scale production, which this could be considered. The economic development element has similar encouragement of diversifying agriculture, adding value-added agricultural products, supporting emerging agriculture, such as this. And this business also represents job creation, agricultural diversification, support of an emerging industry in line with the policies from the economic development element that you see here. The general plan also has policies that address environmental concerns, and this satisfies those. In particular, the inclusion of a retention pond for water quality, the control of odor effects through the design, and also through the permit that it will need to obtain from the Monterey Bay Air Resources District. Also, the design controls the potential for light pollution, and you'll see that as a condition of approval in there too. Then finally, we have the zoning district, which is agriculture productive, and that is written into county law to allow cannabis cultivation as a conditional use, such as this application. We prepared an environmental review document under California Environmental Quality Act to study and disclose environmental effects that could occur. We actually prepared two of these documents. The first was circulated in September of this year with details about the project, and we received public comment that requested a great deal of detail be added to the document. The most substantial comment came from the State Department of Cannabis Control, which gave a detailed letter to us to ask for citation of numerous state laws and to go into greater detail of the project description, which we used. And then we also received comment from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service that saw the mitigation included and asked for more mitigation for possible effects to wildlife habitat. We also received further comment from Central Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board, just as a reminder for the operation to have a water quality permit, and that's in the conditions of approval. But with the level of detail that was requested, we chose to recirculate the document, recirculate with a second document that included all that detail. But in the interim, nevertheless, a public hearing was scheduled for October 20th before the Planning Commission. And so as you recall, that took place, at which the Commission took public comment and continued the hearing to December 15th. There was public comment given at the time on concerns about security hazards that involved theft and trespass incidents prior, and expressing a need for law enforcement patrol there in that neighborhood, and also concerns about the degree of ingress and egress limitation on Riverside Road, including the concern about the narrow part of Riverside Road. I will say that in the second document, much of that was addressed by reference to the numerous requirements, including requirements for security, and it also discussed the matter of transportation to and from the site. And so that was part of the second document, which we prepared with those added details, substantially changed document that we put it out to the public for public comment in November. And we received 2 comments on that. And one was, once again, the water quality comment, a basic comment for there to be a water quality permit. And that, as I said, is a condition of approval. The other was a request from the applicant for a change to one of the biotic mitigation measures to extend the term described there, term for construction. And so I'll talk about that in a moment, but this is a document that we will recommend that the Commission adopt this evening. As for that biotic mitigation measure, that is mitigation measure bio 1M, and it's in the resolution that you have in the packet. That one regards what portion of the year annually may be the time frame in which construction may happen. And in the draft initial study document that went out in November, that was shown as June 1st through October 31st, 5 months time in which to construct annually. But both staff and the applicant agreed that that was quite limiting. And so we each separately believed that more time would be warranted to allow project feasibility, while at the same time acknowledging that all these mitigation measures do continue to protect the wildlife habitat that's there. The change in the mitigation would still have an equivalent benefit, equivalent effect in protecting wildlife habitat. So we'll recommend that the text that will be in the resolution, if you were to approve it, be this text for that mitigation measure that says all ground disturbing construction activities, including but not limited to vegetation removal, surface scraping, excavation, and grading, shall take place between April 15th and October 31st in order to avoid periods when listed amphibians are most active. You might notice that's different from what's actually in the packet, because after the packet went out, that's when the applicant comment came in, and it added the elaboration on specifying what types of construction activities should be prohibited in the, first of all, am I still on? I am, good, okay. I just, let's see, I'm not sure what changed, but I'll just say that the resolution will have, will recommend that you include this changed language in the resolution. So that is the project, and staff recommends that the commission review the staff report, hold the public hearing, hear proponents and opponents of the proposed project, consider the resolution including the initial study mitigated negative declaration and the change to the biotic mitigation, Bio 1M, and adopt the resolution to adopt the initial study mitigated negative declaration with that mitigation measure revised, and approve the permit subject to the findings and conditions found in the resolution. I can take any questions if you have them.
So regarding the timing of the construction, I understand the need to provide certainty to the applicant if this were to be approved as far as the dates. But I'm also concerned with, the way things have been changing over time, or seem to be changing over time, that, what if we get a particularly wet or particularly dry year, and that would affect in particular the amphibians, which we're trying to protect with some of these mitigation measures. Is there any way to incorporate something like that into the resolution, or I guess we just have to drive a stake into the ground and pick a date, huh?
Well, if I may reply to that, the mitigation measures include much detail on studying the current state of the ground as it stands, if it's time, if it is time to construct or consider constructing. There will need to be study of the physical condition at that particular time to make sure that wildlife habitat will not be compromised.
Correct? Yes. Staff will monitor that. Thank you, Michael. Are there any other questions for staff? If not, the applicant, if you could please introduce yourself.
My name is Ivan Villa, Stony Farms.
Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Ivan Villa from Stony Farms. This has been a project, shall we say, for a number of years. Appreciate the work Michael's put into this, and even the commissioners prior and present. We've taken a look at all mitigation measures. I've had a consulting firm, environmental consulting firm, working on this for probably about the last 7-8 months now. And we have done 2 different studies. We have met and talked with the fish and wildlife to work on the parameters of mitigation. We do have some steps put in place that all the way along, if we do find that there is the salamander or the burrowing fox or the anything that they've found critical, or to stop, report with staff, and we'll be monitoring that. This is all based on groundbreaking. We do believe that with all this, the preparation that we put in, if we are able to start on April 15th, we should have this done, all groundbreaking, all moving, and be able to just put base and erect by October 31st, taking into account the environment. So we are pleased with the reporting that came out. Additionally, if anybody has any questions, I do have Luis Osorio from JRG, my firm, the law firm that I use. He is on. He's a land use expert. So if you have any questions that I can't answer, he's on Zoom as well.
Thank you. Did you have any further presentation, or?
No, sir. I think Michael did a pretty good job. It's been again, it's been presented well.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to public comment. Is there any public comment via Zoom?
public comment on Zoom, please raise your hand and you will be allowed to speak. We have 2 public comments on Zoom. The first one I have is Lynn Overtree. I will now allow you to speak. You will have 3 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me yet?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So I actually raised my hand back during the consent time because I wanted to just make a brief comment in relation to the Ridgemark project. So if you want, I can speak after the other comment. Did you hear that?
I was hoping our county council would weigh in. I
Gotcha.
believe that item that was on the consent agenda and that was approved. So we're on to the next item. So
Yes. When would I have been able to make comment on that? And in tonight's meeting, would that have been at the beginning, at the public comments, general public comments period?
a general comment, but again, as you may have heard, that decision was finalized at the previous hearing. That was just an error in the communication of that determination last month.
Okay, I just wanted to make a few related comments to that general theme. And I would have done it at the beginning, but the instructions said not to comment until it was actually the item. So I refrained until the consent agenda. But let the other person speak on this, and then I would appreciate having a chance just to comment on how we protect our agricultural lands going forward.
That will be up to the chair to decide.
Thank you.
And before we adjourn, thank you. Is there any public comment on this particular item?
We have one from Luis Osorio. I will now allow you to speak, and this is in relation to this item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is not, thank you. This is Luis Osorio again, representing Mr. Villa. This is not a public comment. I just wanted to reiterate Mr. Villa's comments that we did review the staff report, the recommended conditions of approval, and the mitigation measures as they have been reworked. We did extensive work with the biological consultant and the Fish and Wildlife to come to an agreement on the construction period. So we, Mr. Villa is happy with that. I just wanted to ask a question of the staff. I did not see an expiration date for the approval in the staff report or the resolution. Other jurisdictions state that in the resolution of approval. Will that be included in the resolution of approval? And some other jurisdictions allow, a couple of years to complete the project or to pull building permits, that kind of thing. So we will appreciate clarification of that. That's it. Thank you.
Wishes I can address that issue.
Please.
Yes, under the county code, there's a requirement to commence construction after issuance of a conditional use permit within 1 year. There are possible circumstances where a relief or extension of that time limitation can be granted, and so I would refer you and your client to the county code on that question.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional public comment via Zoom for this particular project?
If you'd like to make a public comment, please raise your hand at this moment.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment in the chambers? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Do the commissioners have any questions or thoughts? Or is there a motion on the table?
I move that we approve the conditional use permit, subject to the conditions of approval and the mitigations listed within.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually, can I address this something? I have another parcel that I'm putting in for zoning verification. Would that be something?
No.
Just check.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we will reopen the general public comment from the beginning of the meeting. There was a request on Zoom. Ma'am, if you could please resume your public comment.
Hi, yes. So I'm Lynn Overtree. I'm the executive director for the San Benito Agricultural Land Trust. And our vice president presented the letter to the planning department from our organization, which you guys have reviewed. I just wanted to make the point that the spirit of the general plan is to protect our agricultural lands. And in learning more about the farmland mapping and monitoring program and how they map, it only requires 4 years of letting a property go fallow, and then it no longer is qualified as prime ag. But we know that the soil is not changing. And so as a community that really values agriculture, it's critical that we look at that when we're trying to protect our agricultural lands. So the soils still remain extremely important and cannot be replaced. We have enormously valuable soils in this area. So we want to protect that. And with the one-to-one mitigation, that's still accepting 50%, half of our farmland being lost. So I just wanted to bring those 2 points to your attention for future projects. I noticed that this site that we just discussed for the Stony Farms is also on prime soils, high quality soils. So I haven't reviewed this project, but I'll look at that and I can provide you guys with some feedback. Thank you very much. Appreciate you taking this time.
Is there? Absolutely. Council?
Yeah, I would point out, is the speaker still online? Yes.
No, we don't want to call her back. He just wanted to know if she was online.
Right. Okay, so the resolution approving the change in the mitigation measure for the Promontory Bluffs project goes into effect when it's signed this evening. There is a 10-day appeal period to appeal that determination to the Board of Supervisors should any interested party wish to do so.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Is there any additional general public comment at this time?
Please raise your hand.
Seeing none, public comment is closed. Are there any commissioner announcements? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
We have a first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Rodriguez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you all.
Thank you.